Lucky Boys Podcast. Lucky Boys Podcast.
I was also in a fraternity back in the day.
Yes. Okay.
And I was in a fraternity where I was
And
the
you were in
only-
a Caucasian fraternity.
I was in a predominantly
Predominant,
Caucasian,
okay.
yeah. And I was at the time I was the lone Asian member of my fraternity, but at the same time, like, you know, I was going through a lot of
Like an identity
self-hate,
crisis?
Asian identity crisis.
Right.
Like I had hated my identity as an Asian man so much that I tried to be as white adjacent as possible, you know. And I remember, I would say the bulk majority of jokes that were directed at me had something to do with my Asian identity, which I was so ashamed of that I allowed it to happen. Or, you know, they would give me all these Asian jokes, and I was, to fit in, I would kind of just be like, okay, like cool, whatever. Or maybe I would hurl a racist comment back at them, you know. But it was like, it was clearly an attempt. It was clearly an attempt to just like
Put you down.
put me down.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like it's not that they hated me. It was just like, well, I was the lone Asian guy,
Right.
so that's what they focused on. And I remember when I was a junior or senior in college, we had another Asian Filipino kid join my fraternity, and he actually wound up becoming my grand little, so like my little's little. And he was very proud of his Asian identity.
Wow.
He hung out with like other Filipinos and organizations that, admittedly, at the time, I was so in my self-hating Asian state that they would come to me and I'd be like, you know, get away from me. Like, you guys are like so cliquey, leave me alone. You know, I was trying to run away from my Asian identity. But here's this kid comes into the fraternity knowing that there's only one other Asian guy there, me. And he pledges, he does his thing. And then people would spew the same jokes hurled at me to him. He took it differently because he wasn't trying.
As a pledge or as a brother?
Both.
Okay.
As both a pledge and as brother. But he didn't really say anything until he became a brother. He's just like, why are you guys saying these things? And it hurt his feelings. And I remember he said, why are you guys saying these things? It's messed up. And they said, well, Ollie's okay with it, so you should be too. So they weaponized my nonchalantness or my desire to fit in, and my complete disregard for everything. Like they used my reaction, my response to justify their racism. And it took me, and I remember I went to him, my grand little, I'm like, yo, bro, it's just jokes, relax, just jokes. They don't mean it. You know, it took me years after that incident for me to recognize, wow, I messed up. Like that was on me. And then I apologized to him like years after. I'm like, I had a long conversation. I'm like, hey buddy, like, I just want to tell you that I am so sorry. You know, I'm sure you knew this, but at the time I was not very happy with my identity. I was trying so hard to fit in. And, you know, in retrospect, I respect the heck out of you because
You spoke up.
You spoke up. Not only you speak up, you were so proud of your identity. You know, he's Filipino, I'm Indonesian. We're practically neighbors, neighboring countries. And he would always invite me out to like these Asian events, and I just roll my eyes and just be like, no, I'm good. Thinking I was better than that, you know, in my desire to be not Asian. And he inspired me. And I think, you know, I didn't recognize that was a problem until I got older. And, you know, again, I was dealing with that while I was also dealing with people in the military who were throwing Asian jokes at me as well. So it was kind of like, how do I get this to stop? Well, okay, maybe if I just ride with it, or kind of just like, okay, whatever with it, disregard it, then it won't hurt as much. And it didn't hurt as much, but it didn't stop them from doing it either. And it didn't really affect me until I didn't really sit down and think about it until much, much later.
Lucky Boys Podcast.